Hi everyone, this is Keito and today I will be going over Knight of Ruin Sterne, Helena, and Vadim's EXs. These EXs are, they're interesting and I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on them. I'm not too impressed with them, but I definitely think that depending on your perspective on how you view these units, they'll be exciting. So without further ado, let's just get started. So, Knight of Ruin Sterne, when you EX him, his title becomes Bloodstained Knight. And we actually had a sneak peek of Ruin Knight Sterne's EXs back in the, I think it was the 7th, or maybe it was the 8th Leona's national broadcast stream. So I was able to actually just pull up the slide because I think it's a little bit more visually appealing and easier to follow. So basically with Knight of Ruin Sterne, the stat boards, when you EX him, they'll give you 5 attack, 2 agility, 6 dexterity, 22 luck, 8 critical hit rate, and you will also get a lot of attack from the main stat panel, as well as other stats you get from leveling him up from 99 to 120. When you EX him, his first ability upgrade is to his Hazard Crusher. What it does is it changes the name of Hazard Crusher to Hazard Injury. And what Hazard Crusher did before was it would decrease your opponent's defense for 3 turns and then deal medium damage, and Sterne would also take 20% of his health. With Hazard Injury, he actually does most of the same, but he also adds a decreased healing power for 3 turns effect. And also the life cost is reduced from 20% to 10%. So overall, this is really modest, but it's also very strong, right? It's maiming / effects added, and also he only loses 10% health, and sometimes that's actually a pretty big deal. So while it's sort of on the modest side, I think it's still a very strong EX upgrade. I'm glad they chose to upgrade Hazard Crusher because I feel like that is his signature ability. So moving on, his next ability upgrade is Roar of Ruin. This one I'm a little bit unsure of. But basically, Roar of Ruin is now upgraded to Ruinous Intimidation. And what Roar of Ruin did was it increased Sterne's own attack and accuracy for 3 turns. Now, what Ruinous Intimidation does is it increases his attack and accuracy, but it also decreases his AP consumption for 3 turns. This one I'm not too sure on, right? So the first thing is, Ruin Sterne doesn't really use Roar of Ruin too much, right? The last time I remember people actively choosing for Sterne to use Roar of Ruin was back in the Evade meta, and that meta just isn't here anymore, right? I'm thinking of the time where we had a lot of Halloween Little Leela, Sterne, and usually it was, I can't remember what the third unit was, but basically an Evade comp, right? And then the accuracy would really help him. We don't really have that meta anymore, except for maybe 2B teams. But the thing is, Roar of Ruin is only 16 AP, so you can't 16 TP, so you don't really generate much AP from this. So at best, you would want this to be his second move. And some maps don't allow for that. And even then, getting 8 AP is a little bit rough, and I'm not sure if the 25% AP consumption decrease is worth it. So I'm not too sure about this ability upgrade. His 120 ability is Barrier Break. It's a very simple skill. It's range 4, range height 1, single target, and it breaks physical barriers and then deals medium damage. So it's not a very exciting or flashy move, but I think barrier breaks are very important and almost necessary, right, for any DPS unit. So I'm glad that they put this in. I think he did need this. It would have been maybe asking for too much if the barrier break effect was added onto his Hazard Crusher. I think that would have been very, very nice, especially since it's AoE. But still, I'm happy for this. So overall, with Knight of Ruin Sterne, I think that it's a modest EX, but it's still a good one. I think his stat increases are very nice. It puts him up to par with the other EX'd units, and I think you'll be seeing a lot of. I think you will. I think you'll see a lot of Knight of Ruin Sterne in top-end content. Alright, moving on. So we have Helena. When you EX Helena, her title goes from Green Mage to Green Mage of Resistance Protection. And it's really interesting here. So you see a lot of her EX has a lot of utility defensive buffs, and that's pretty neat. When the stats she gets is she gets 30 health, 13 dexterity, 10 magic, 6 TP, 4 initial AP, as well as her level up stats and her main stat panel of health, so she will get 200 extra health. So moving on, her first ability upgrade is to her Baraerora. It's basically changes it to Baraerora Resistance Protection. And what it does is, so Baraerora, gosh, I can't say that quite. Baraerora used to increase wind resistance for 3 turns to ally in a pretty big AoE pattern. And what it does now is it actually increases defense as well as earth resistances. So I thought that was pretty neat. I'm assuming they went with earth because wind is strong against earth, so it kind of like adds that extra protection. I think it would have been nice if it was ice rather than earth because wind units are weak to ice. But nevertheless, it increases the applicability of the skill, and I think that's pretty interesting because I don't really see many people use Baraerora. Her next ability upgrade is Emerald Echo. And so what Emerald Echo, it will now be called Deep Emerald. And so formerly Emerald Echo used to increase buff and debuff durations on herself by 1 turn. And what it does now is it also gives her increased AoE resistance. So that's always nice. AoE resistance I think is a very, very good stat to have. Because one is, it also, I think it's an, I won't go into that actually. But, right, so this is another very good, I think, passive skill. Now, her 120 ability is called Resist Weak. What it does is it increases debuff resistances for every attack type for 3 turns for allies. So I think this is really interesting. It's kind of hard to illustrate, but an example for debuff resistances for all attack types is Gilgamesh's Kotetsu. So what Gilgamesh's Kotetsu does is it actually decreases the target's / resistance by 38%. Now at max level for Resist Weak, if Helena buffs your allies with Resist Weak, that 38% becomes 0% because it's 100% debuff resistance. So I think it's the first we've seen of this, right? But it's also just really cool. I think it's a unique ability. Is its applicability wide enough that it will see play or it'll make Helena really good? I'm not too sure. But nevertheless, I think it's new and it's unique. But so I'm excited for Helena. The only problems I have with Helena AI is they didn't really change. I don't think they changed how her AI works. And we've recently had the Green Mage AI buff, but that doesn't really concern Helena because it has to do with Esuna. So what I'm worried here is we sort of get into this cycling of buffs nightmare that we used to see. Like, for example, when you had Protected Shell on Ayaka, she would always just like rotate those skills and never do anything else. And I'm kind of worried that this might be a similar case with Helena. We'll just have to sort of wait and see to see how she plays out, I guess. So our next EX is Vadim. So Vadim, when you EX him, his main job goes from Thief to Thief of Peculiar Skills. And this is an EX I feel is very conflicting, but let's see what the stats are. So he gets 12 attack, 40 health, 2 agility, 11 luck, 6 TP, 3 crit rate, as well as his level of steps and his main stat panel, which is TP. I'm really not sure about TP being the main stat panel. I feel like that's sort of a wasted opportunity, especially for SR rarity characters who really need raw base stats. So his first ability upgrade is Steel Heart, which changes it to Toy with Heart. And I think they missed the mark with this EX. Basically, the target height range was increased by 1. And that's it. I feel like it wouldn't have hurt to at least give them 1 extra range on Steel Heart. And I feel like this is such a missed opportunity. I think Steelheart is a very strong skill that you have to be careful of, but I think he could have used the extra range. I think the 1 height won't come into play as much, but yeah, it's a bit of a disappointing EX. I mean upgrade, I think. So his next upgrade is Thief's Lore, and this also gives him, so what Thief's Lore used to do was it gives him +1 move and increases his agility. And when you upgrade this, it becomes Thief's Mastery, and what it does is it also decreases his own hate. Now, this is kind of where I got confused, because I think Steelheart is predominantly a manual feature. It's kind of hard to get your AI to work so that it uses Steelheart in auto PvP. I think you can do that if you turn off a lot of attack range skills, and then he'll use Steelheart, but otherwise he doesn't really use it. So it's more reliable when you use it in manual. The thing about manual is hate doesn't matter in manual play. So I feel like Thief's Lore upgrade sort of conflicts with the Steelheart upgrade. I'm not too sure though, but I'd be really happy to hear everybody's thoughts in the comments section. And so his 120 ability is called Sleep Spin. It's an AoE, deals medium damage and 25% chance to inflict sleep on the targets. So yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of modest. It's nothing too flashy, nothing too makes you really be like, wow, I want to EX Vadim. So yeah, I'm just not too sure about Vadim's EX. If people are in strong support of this, I'd like to hear thoughts. But anyways, that'll do with today's video of the EXing. And yeah, overall, I'm not as excited for these EXs. I think Sterne's EX will be very nice, but it's nothing too flashy, and I always like my EXs to be kind of have this wow factor. But I have no doubts that Knight of Ruin Sterne will be strong. Helena, I think, will be fun, but I'm not sure how good she will be. And Vadim, I'm kind of left a little disappointed. Anyways, that'll do for today's videos. Thank you very much, and good luck on the battlefields of Ardra.